8:29. Good morning. Tomas Manglona joins us in the KUAM News Zoom room live from the CNMI, where he's reporting in front of the Commonwealth Legislature. Good morning, Tomas.
Good morning, Chris. Yes, I'm reporting right outside the Commonwealth Legislature, which is also across from the governor's office. But before we get to that, I did want to start with the latest case report from the Commonwealth Healthcare Corporation last night. 332 cases of COVID-19 identified from December 1st through the 7th. 266 of those were identified through contact tracing. And the vaccination status of all of these cases are pending, of course. And we also did receive some numbers with regards to new hospitalizations. There are 12 individuals hospitalized as a result of COVID-19, 8 unvaccinated, 2 vaccinated, 2 partially vaccinated, none are on a ventilator. And bring Chris, I think this detail in particular is news to us, which is that 2 were discharged from the alternate care site as of last night's press release. And the CNMI stands at about 89.9% vaccination rate of its eligible population. And so, of course, this data coming after a week of not receiving these daily case reports. We did post the daily breakdown across our social media pages and website, so you can view them there if you'd like to see the cases throughout the last week. But we are outside of the CNMI legislature because in just about an hour, the CNMI Governor's Legal Counsel and the JGO Committee, which is the committee that is investigating Governor Ralph Torres' expenditures and travel, they're expected to meet for a negotiation and accommodation process. Of course, also at 10:30, the Department of Public Safety Commissioner Robert Guerrero is scheduled to testify before the committee. And also at the same time, Governor Ralph Torres, it's unclear if Governor Ralph Torres will appear at 10:30 this morning, but we do know that he canceled his 8 o'clock press conference today. And we do know also yesterday receiving the tragic news that one of the staffers at the quarantine site passed away after an accident on UTV. And so amid all of this news, the governor has chosen to be absent from the media, although it's unclear if he'll be present at the meeting and his testimony this morning. We do know at least his lawyers are going to be meeting with members his testimony at 10:30 here at the CNMI legislature, bring Chris. And for those of you who might be wondering what exactly the committee will be questioning him on, in the subpoena that was delivered to him over the weekend, they list about 7 areas of interest that they'll be questioning the governor on if he appears today. First of which is premium class travel. The second is about expenditures, per diem, stipends, and reimbursement justifications, meals, housing, gifts. The third related to property and inventory policies, procedures, goods purchased and claimed by or on behalf of the governor or his wife, the First Lady Diane Torres. The fourth being the Department of Public Safety personnel for personal security detail and use of other governmental personnel and resources, including federal grants. The fifth being contracts and contractual relationships entered into the benefit of the office of the governor, but not limited to contracts for personnel, consulting, and legal representation. The sixth is payment and use of utilities for the benefit of the governor and First Lady Diane Torres. And the seventh area of interest of the matters that they're going to ask is about the federal investigations involving the CNMI government expenses and resources. So again, at 9:30, that conference happening between the committee and the lawyers of the governor, Burnbrick, his legal counsel, and possibly also potentially likely Ross Garber, who's his DC attorney. And at 10:30, the testimonies of both the commissioner and the governor. And of course, the legislature does remain open amid the shutdown of some government offices because of the COVID-19 surge that we were just reporting on. But they are going to be streaming it, and we will be in attendance here as it happens. Again, 9:30, the meeting with the lawyers of the governor's office, and then 10:30, the expected testimony. And of course, amid all of this news, Chris, when we have so many questions, we just do, especially after just the tragic passing of that staffer yesterday. The governor decides to cancel his press conference. We don't get a chance to ask these questions.
Just to go back to the UTV, was the one that passed away, he was a driver?
Sorry, Bree, what was that? You cut out for a bit.
The UTV, was that the driver?
I believe so. That's what it appears to be in the Department of Public Safety report. And it happened at the quarantine site.
Yeah.
A lot of people having questions about that. Of course, the governor releasing his statement, the condolences to the family. Also, interesting note at the end about the mental health of frontliners and those at the sites. And so, of course, tragic news.
Were they working?
And
I mean, were they on duty? Do you know?
it's unclear if they were officially on duty, but they were at the site where work happens. So
Is the
no further details. They asked that we respect the privacy of the family, but of course, given that this happened at the quarantine site, there are questions.
Do we know if that UTV, is it a government vehicle or?
It's a utility task vehicle is what they're calling it. They didn't call it a government vehicle, but it probably ran tasks on the quarantine location. Marianas Resort is one of the larger sites, unlike the Pacific Islands Club or the Canoa Resort, where you can take the elevator up and down. There's kind of spread out and a larger area. It's also one of the testing sites, and so different setup there. But beyond what we reported yesterday, we've just have yet to hear anything. We know that there's an ongoing investigation into that as well. We were hoping to ask questions to the COVID-19 Task Force Chair, Warren Villagomez. He's not picked up any calls from us once we learned of this news yesterday. Again, the incident happened around 2:30 in the morning yesterday, and we received news of it around 4 o'clock yesterday, right before newscast. And we learned of those tragic details. And the governor at the same time releasing a press release expressing his condolences. But amid this surge, we're at over 1,500 cases. While the governor might not be holding a press conference, the CNMI Public Health might be holding a press conference today to address the surge, because we are still in a surge. And there are a lot of questions about how things are being handled. And the absence is deafening regarding these matters.
Tomas, it kind of seems like there's just been one thing after another news-wise coming out of that quarantine facility over there in the NMI.
It's unfortunate, right? We reported that one death that happened there, and then the other, both not related to COVID, at these quarantine sites. It is alarming. And while we do, in our reporting, want to respect also the privacy and what the families are going through, it is without a doubt raising questions. And the people who have these answers are not willing to provide that information as of yet. And so I'm not sure if it will take a legislative hearing to get the answers we need. But we do know that while there will be no press conference from the governor of public health, I just can't wrap my head around it that we were holding press conferences for case reports that were not in this surge. And now that our community is in a surge, we're not hearing as much from this governor. And amid this investigation that is happening here at the legislature, receiving all of this through press releases that are written and prepared, we need to have an open forum. And as the press here, and I know I've spoken with some of my colleagues at the other outlets, we need that open forum because people have questions. We get questions 24/7 texted to us, concerns about this surge, concerns about the investigation, and the governor has chosen absence today.
Tomasa, it's not unlike what's happening here. I mean, we were going through a surge, and we couldn't pay public health to come on here and address the people.
Well, this is the difference, right? The public health here is going to hold a press conference today, probably around noon.
And just so you guys, sorry, Tomasa.
Because there's a surge.
Yeah.
Because there's a surge.
The background with the NMI, if you guys pay attention to this news and you wonder why there's kind of like this separation between the Community Healthcare Corporation and the Office of the Governor, over there in the NMI, the Community Healthcare Corporation is overseen by a board, and right? Is that what it is?
Yes, yeah, and CEO Esther Munia even was commenting on how the recent restrictions don't really address the priorities of what is considered to be this public health concern. Um, with and again with all of this news, it's hard because it's not only public health; it's also the entire task force that works together collaboratively. So while we are getting comments and receiving information from public health with regards to the COVID case reports, with the frontline effort, it also involves other agencies here as well that we can't really question if they cancel these press conferences and don't have that open forum. So uh, we'll continue to reach out, but so far that's the latest. And we asked the local radio host to host these press conferences every Friday, and they tell us that there was no reason given for the press conference being rescheduled. But you can't help but notice the context in which this is happening, in which in just about half an hour from now, the governor's legal counsel will be entering these legislature's doors to sit and confer with the House committee that is investigating the governor. And that also at 10:30, the DPS commissioner will be here to testify as well with regards to his affiliations and his actions in relation to some of these corruption allegations. And no word yet if the governor will appear this morning, but given that he's probably cleared his schedule at 8 o'clock this morning, who knows, he might make an appearance.
Well, I believe we're going to be streaming that, right, at 9:30.
Yes, we will be here because they are taking COVID precautions. So not everyone. I'm not sure if how many people from the public will show up, but those precautions are in place. The legislature has decided to remain open, and so there's going to be limited attendance inside. And so we'll bring you that live when we can.
All right.
Thank you, Tomas.
Thanks, Tomas.
Thank you.
Hang in there, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
Got to give him credit. That's a hot shot right there. You know what I mean? Like right in the sun. Whew. Tomas Manglona, our regional correspondent, reporting all the way